What up, y'all? This your boy Gerald. It is December 5th, 2015. How is each and every one of y'all doing? Doing all right? Navigated through your week, sidestepping the negative, always grounding your feet, but more importantly, speaking your truth. How is everybody doing? Doing all right? I hope so. You're in the midst of your weekend. That's right. Some of those who are fortunate to have the weekend off, take this moment to reflect on your week and what you've seen. But more importantly, make sure that you give back to yourself. This is the time that you are supposed to be recharging your essence. That's right. Your essence is you, your spirit, mind, body, spirit. So, got my coffee, and this has been a very impactful week now, hasn't it? Haven't you started to see the theme, y'all? Huh? I know you have. Seems like every time that you turn around, there's always something vying for your attention, vying for your efforts, pulling you this way, pulling you that way. But it seems like what is needed most is for you to be grounded. So, you got to make a choice. That's right. You're running out of excuses to yourself. You're starting to see that the things that used to work yesterday have no validity. You're starting to stop scratching your head and you're starting to assess time spent. But see, that's the price that makes you you. That's why you see what you see. That's why for those that understand the laws of attraction, which really is nothing but wordplay because it's all divine intervention. For we are what we attract. You do understand that, right? Nothing happens just by chance. No, sir. No, ma'am. There's a reason for it all because this is your reality. But more importantly, this is what defines your legacy. So how you doing? Doing all right? You're allowing yourself to be still. You're allowing yourself to be at peace with yourself. How about that slumber? You finally allowing yourself to unplug from the proverbial matrix, as they call it, because it's technology. And you're allowing yourself to connect back to you. Yes, that little boy, little girl that's found inside you. How's your rest? Are you drinking enough water? Taking your vitamins? Eating right? Or just slowing down? Because you do realize, because it is your reality, it will be waiting for you outside your door. But the kicker is, are you going to be prepared? Some time ago, I talked about understanding spiritual doors and how it's so important that you actually are in tune with your discernment, because that is the tool that God gave you to understand free will. And free will is nothing but having the ability to choose. Shall I go left? Shall I go right? Shall I stay where I am? Do I want this or do I push it away? But I also understand this, because I too am still on my journey. I am just like you. Know that before any blessing can be received, you are going to be tested. But because we have emotions, and those emotions define our intellect. These are the makings of our personality, which are founded by the things that are most directly connected to us, such as our well-being, because these were living constants of our environment. We saw this in our upbringing. We saw this in our development. We see this in our day-to-day. These are the things that give understanding to free will. But the kicker is, no matter what your age is, are you vulnerable to yourself? Are you allowing yourself to be transparent? Because if you're not allowing yourself to be transparent, there is no vulnerability to you. And if you cannot be vulnerable to you, how can you make proper decisions for your life? I once mentioned it once ago. First of all, for those who do know me, they know that I am a music lover. My first love, well, my second love, my first love is to God. My second love is to my daughter. My third love is to music. I really believe that I was divinely meant to have something to do with music in some way. So, through my life, from a little boy to my adulthood now, I've always had that love affair that's always been unconditional. And I kind of looked at it as, well, I am a Pisces. I am a water sign. For some of those who do not know, yeah, if you had to bring it in there, but that's nothing but descriptive words of personality too. I'm a Pisces sun, Cancer moon, correction. Pisces sun, Scorpio moon, Cancer ascendant. I'm all water. So I'm all about feeling. I'm pretty good at judging people too, now that I know Gerald. So, have you noticed where we are as, we'll just say musically? Listen to the theme of what's being put out there. There's no love in it. There's no compassion in it. There's no inspiration in it. Even the places that you would think it would be. No. There's always an underlining found there. I don't have to convince you. Listen to the lyrics. You won't find love there. But you'll find a whole lot of lust. You'll find a whole lot of perversion. You'll find a whole lot of deception. But what you won't find is honor, respect. You won't find that. Why? Because it's about currency. It's about false validation. It's about being selfish. Call it what you want, but the lyrics are the lyrics. But one song that always stuck out to me as a little boy, and there are many, and yes, I too can sing too. The one song that echoed in inside my spirit was Diana Ross's Mahogany theme. If you've never heard that song, I highly recommend just go up there, type in Mahogany's theme, and listen to the lyrics. The lyrics of that song apply today, and they will apply tomorrow because it talks about self. If you've never seen the movie, I highly recommend check it out. And there are so many illustrations of the human dynamic played out in that character and all the characters. Diana Ross's character, Billy D. Williams' character, and all the supportive roles. But that's life. There was free will exhibited in that. But everything has to come full circle too. Not to lose my point. But in the beginning of that lyric, she comes on and she says, do you know? Do you like the things that life was showing you? Do you know? And she was applying that as if she was looking in a mirror to herself. To do that, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be in a place of stillness because that is what's required to see you. This is something that is not afforded by the people in your environment because the people in your environment only validate your state of mind at that time. So, and with that being said, kings and queens, remember this one. Remember when you used to hang out with them and you were just wilding out and there was some risk taking involved? Remember your state of mind? What was going on during that time when you were acting out proverbially? I guarantee you a nickel to a dime, you had something going on. And deep down inside, you wanted to feel alive. You wanted to feel validated at that moment, that there was some form of acceptance without judgment. But in the end, when you were by yourself, there was a void. And that void could never be filled. You may have turned around and used a means of expression by taking it to the head. Maybe you're getting high. Maybe you are using sexual expression. And we're dabbling in things that knowingly, if you had sound mind, you would have never gone there. So the price in that, there was some disappointment. The price there was some deception. The price that was paid there was, unfortunately, pain. I know that some of you are going through that now. And unfortunately, you feel like that you're alone. And I'm here to tell you, you're not. You never was. But what's required is for you to admit to yourself what does not work. You already know what does not work. You know that. So if you already know what does not work, why won't you have the courage to take that first step in what does? How about going in that emotional backpack? You know, that emotional backpack is nothing but your denial that has been taught through experience or false guidance for the approach to dealing with whatever the situation is. They've been using this strategy for men for centuries. That is why we have so many men today, or boys, little boys, in men's bodies, still searching. That's why we have women out here today still holding the torch that had pain, that had anger. Why do you think you're so angry, my queens? You're so angry because you are afraid to speak your truth. There's a price to speak your truth, and that is to admit that you had a part in it. And before you can even do that, you have to have the courage to look at whatever that burden is. Why do you think your health is going the way it is? Why do you think your relationships don't last? The reason why your relationships continually fail is because you don't have a relationship with yourself. So if you don't have a relationship with yourself, it's because you're afraid to look at you. If you had decided for once to step out of your comfort zone, you will come to see how beautiful you really are. If you would decide to step out of your comfort zone, you would be able to stand up at least. Even if you couldn't take that first step, you would be able to stand up, survey your life, and see who rightfully does not have the permission to be there. That's why covert actions and manipulation always come the way they do. They don't come with a you know a peace offering. They come like a bull in a china shop, deliberately to destroy or knock you down. So some of you may be in that place. Some of you may have looked at 2015 as the hardest year ever. Well, let me explain something to you. Are you forgetting something? Are you forgetting about those disappointments that you had? Oh, because they don't match up? Because that is what's present? But pain is still pain. So ask yourself this. Why do you think you deserve to feel what you're feeling? Why do you think that you have to take this approach to mask what's there? Now, you do understand that until you decide to genuinely love yourself, that those pains, those burdens, yeah, that one, the one that if anyone knew, you would feel embarrassed. Well, you should feel embarrassed right now because you're allowing it to continue to have placement in your life. Why do you think that God said, I will not give you more than you can stand? He shows his mercy every day because you're breathing. But you cavalierly give your life essence to them. They don't care if you live and breathe. If you don't believe me, why won't you do this? Right off the cuff, ask them, what's your purpose? If they can't tell you right off the bat, then that means they just as lost as yourself. And we attract what we are. If you're in a relationship and you know that that person's not honoring you, it's because you're not honoring yourself. If it seems like the only time that you get along with your companion is always because it's behind closed doors, they ain't supposed to be with you. And they know it. But they're gonna ride those wheels till they fall off. Why? Because they already realize that you don't respect yourself. So that's why you hear the proverbial, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke and you don't acknowledge it, you do more damage. And more importantly, why do you think that you don't have access to the people that genuinely love you, that genuinely want to see you happy, that genuinely only want to see you fly? I'll tell you why. It's because your pride, your ego is distracting you from what you need. And the devil is going to always give you what you want. But don't you realize the devil don't want nothing to do with love? Because love is an extension and a description of God's mercy. You exist because of him. But it's not his responsibility to get you right. It's your responsibility to find it. You can't find it unless you see your worth. So my kings, why are you beating yourself up because she ain't there? Y'all not talking. She's acting like you can take it or leave it. Well, let me tell you something. Number one, your hunches are correct. There is someone in her ear. And number two, she knows you ain't going nowhere. I say this out of love because so many people squander their time on things that will never grow. Did you hear me? But let me show you how God do. Because anytime that you make a conscious decision to hurt someone, deceive them, or show maliciousness from your actions, you pay tenfold for that. You do. And guess what? Because he's a custom tailored God, he gonna make it so that only you know exactly where it came from. Why? Because God's will is going to be done with or without your consent. Did you hear me? That's why running don't help. I know some of y'all are tired. Some of y'all have actually had the audacity to come out your mouth and say, I don't want to have nothing to do with love. Well, guess what? Until you stop and start loving yourself, you're doing the world a good service. You are. Because until you get yourself back on one, you are going to each, that's where the each one teach one factor comes into play. So if your point of view is off tilted and you have influence in someone else's life, you're not bringing anything to the table. You're just a walking liability. I say this out of love, y'all, because guess what? There's a cemetery near you that have people in it that should not be. They can't get back yesterday because they they don't exist. They only live in our memories. So more importantly, it is imperative to learn from others' mistakes. Your greatest battle. Like that. I know y'all seen this. Y'all seen that commercial that has Mr. T on it, and he works at I think it's for Comfort Inn or something, and it comes on. He's in the locker. He said, "I've faced a lot of things, and I've dealt with a lot of fears, but my greatest test is myself." There you go. That's a sign for somebody. I know there's somebody right now, and you're saying, "I'm tired of running, Gerald. I just want to be loved. I want to feel safe. I want to finally exhale." That's when the clarity comes. Haven't you noticed that? Look at your circle. Is there any growth in that? Is there any honor in that? But I guarantee you see a lot of pain, a lot of disappointment, a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda. Why? Because it's going to be put in your face until you do. Queens, why do you think I take the time out to convey this to you? Every time you make a choice that is not in your best interest, it is displayed on your body. Your stress, your disappointment, your weariness is written right on your face. That same goes with us, kings. I know somebody's saying, "Well, Gerald, all I want to do is make a fresh start. Maybe I should just pack up and move away." If it comes down to it, do what you need to do. But guess what? If you're not willing to look at the things that are broken first, all you're going to do is take that to a new location. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to attract the same caliber people. And guess what? Your past will come back, and you will be forced to deal with it. Doesn't matter. Haven't you noticed that? Haven't y'all noticed that? Because, we live in a society where people try to reinvent themselves every chance they get. They're like a snake. A snake don't bother nobody, keeps it moving because it has to, because if it stops, it becomes prey. But eventually, it has to shed its own skin. Well, proverbially, this skin is nothing but camouflage of the environment. So you can try to fake it to make it as long as you want, but guess what? If it's not the environment that you are intended to be in, you'll stand out like a red light. And depending on who's in that environment, they already know it too, because they see attributes in you that remind them of them. And then that's when the danger comes. I know that needs to go out to someone. You are forcing yourself in an environment that you have no being in. You're not built for that. You're not. And you're going to take a great loss the longer that you stay in there. You don't even see it. But that the devil's going to continue to lure you in. Oh yeah, you like what that sexy man says. You like what he has. But you don't realize he has a dark spirit. You don't know where he's been. And more importantly, you don't know what he can do. But you keep playing. And then unfortunately, the pain comes. That's not supposed to be your walk. This goes out to a young king. You are struggling with the fact that you have a child. You love that child. You want nothing more but to protect your child. But there's a division between you and the mother. You've already taken accountability that you know that this child was not conceived by love. But because that is your child, you are going to forge ahead. You make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's. But unfortunately, the mother does not know herself. And she thinks she has you figured out. And unfortunately, she takes your child and does this. And as long as she does that, you're going to be grabbing at it. Unfortunately, you're going to see some things play out. Keep your feet grounded. Pray. And all that you desire, all things will reverse in the intended time. This is nothing but a spiritual test. Do not give up. You've actually entertained. First of all, let me tell you something. Your partner, your stick man, don't have your best interest because he's come out. Listen to what comes out of his mouth. Listen to what he said to you. And he's basically trying to convince you to walk away from your responsibility as a father. That's not your friend. Kings and queens, let me explain something to you. Your friendships should be unbreakable. Unbreakable. It should be fortified by love. If there's no love in it, then that ain't nothing but an opportunist. And the opportunists don't need your help to expose themselves. But you got to have the courage to see it. You got to have the courage to walk away and find you. How much money you got to lose? I know I'm talking to somebody. You're a hard worker. But this past year, it's been kicking your butt. All you want to do is have financial peace. You have a vision in your mind of something that you strive to hold. You're saying, that's my goal. That's my goal. I got to do this. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to make sure I do it because you looked at in the past and you saw the distractions and you own them. You own them. You take accountability and you understand what does not work. But your burdens is you feel that your family doesn't understand you. They don't support you. And may have been a choice or decision that you may have made. They want to hold on to that like a shield and not acknowledge who you are today. I know I'm talking to somebody. What you're witnessing is there's something demonic going on in your family. And deep down inside, they don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see you change. They want the person that's broken. They do it for two reasons. Number one, they know that you're controllable and very manipulative. And number two, if you continue on your path to become who you're going to be, it's going to dispel everything that they have said about you. It's going to contradict it. But guess what? These people have already given up on themselves long time ago. They have. And they have settled. They like to embrace the victim card. Oh, I would do this, but I can't do that. And I would do this, but you know, such and such. Listen here. As long as you put God first in front of you, there's nothing you can't do. But when it comes to your life, expect to work. Expect to work. Queens, there's somebody right now, you are in a tumultuous relationship. You know it. They told you this. And the only common bond that you have is on your back. They do everything they want to do to you, but love you. And time again, you have told them, this is what I need. And they turned around and said, I don't care. But yet, in your mind, you don't want to acknowledge that you made a mistake. And this has been your setback the whole time. If you look back at your life, look at the people that you've had in your life, look at the lovers that you've had. The commonality in that is this: you have never allowed yourself to be still. You've never allowed yourself to heal. And secretly, it's because you are afraid to be alone. So your strong suit is your sexuality. You know what you're doing. That's for sure. But what you really thirst is intimacy for yourself. You're thinking, well, if I turn it up, swing from the chandeliers, give it to the last drop, he ain't going nowhere. Well, let me say this as respectful as I can. If you're treating yourself like an amusement park with free admittance, of course you're going to have people coming through there. They don't have to pay for nothing. And let me not make this twisted. If you have allowed yourself to convince yourself that the only way that you're going to have your life as you dream it is by means of on your back, what separates you from that woman walking the street? I'll tell you what, a door and her truth. Because at least that girl that's walking that block, not to condone it, she's already checked out of herself. She only sees the monetary aspect of what she's doing. 9 times out of 10, she's probably on drugs. 9 times out of 10, she doesn't love herself at all. There is nothing but darkness inside this vessel. And pretty much she is doing time inside her mind. That's why it amazes me when I see people get married. You should always marry your best friend. If they're not your best friend, why are you walking with them? And if they have not earned the right to walk with you, why are they in your life? What is it that they make up for that you lack? What is it? Is it status? Is it economic security? Or is it they make you feel whole? So if they make you feel whole, why do you cry so much? But here's the kicker. You don't show emotion amongst them. you got to run away somewhere so no one can see you, which is really a male trait because society teaches men to compartmentalize their emotions. Don't you realize until you learn to embrace your emotions, you're not alive? Don't you realize that no one can complete you? They only validate the state of mind that you're in. So if you're always constantly seeing disappointment, struggle, strife, it's because you refuse to work on those things in yourself. And you more or less are using your body as a means to compensate on the things you lack. So that's not blessed. That's cursed. I say this out of love, y'all, because far too many times the things that we need as a community, as a society, as a human race, nobody wants to make time for. And then when JoJo ends up splashed on the front page or is laid out of there on the street, we're like, why is this? How did this happen? The signs were already there. But it was a choice to look at it. So, how much pain you gonna go through? How long you gonna do something strange for change? When the change that you really need is here. I mean, I got a caveat in that. How many of y'all took the time to watch The Wiz? They did it on NBC. I think it was NBC this week. Do you realize that that play, from beginning to end, had a spiritual message through it, but the main theme was talking about self. That is why at the end, when Dorothy said, well, all I had to do was click my heels and I could have been in Kansas, and Glenda, the good witch, said everything that you needed was already given inside you. Because it was already given the moment you took your first breath. So you can't tell me God don't love you. You exist. You exist. Every day you wake up and do this, do that, do this. Is another day to work on what you have yet to do. Why you think you're so angry, Queen? Why you think you're so angry? I'll tell you why you're so angry. You're angry because that little girl inside wants to be heard. Yeah, her. The little girl with the eyes big to the world. The little girl that had endless possibilities of who she destined to be. The dreamer that aspired to change the world. She still exists in you. She never stopped dying. I mean, she never stopped living. So why you think you're hearing those voices in your head? Why you think it's so hard for you to go to sleep at night? Why do you think that your sex drive is through the roof? Because these are all examples that are saying, come back to me. Come back to me. Queens, you know I love you. I love each and every one of you. My kings, my heart goes out to you. There's more to your life than what is found between your legs. When you decide to have the courage, you will validate that last name. Because what is at stake is not the pocket, it's not the money found in your pocket or what you drive or where you live. What's at stake is your legacy, brother. My queen. Can you not see that? Can you not? But we get knocked down. You know why we get knocked down? We fall so that the things that are holding us back can be broken off. So when we stand up and look around, we take assessment of what we need, not what is holding us back. Listen, as long as you put that pride, that ego in front of you, you'll never live your life. You will always be searching. Real talk. It's not by chance that you seeing people that you know living lives that are productive, and you're saying in the back of your mind, that should be me. You know why it's not you? Because you ain't claiming you. So, you gonna stop running? Because as long as you keep those track shoes on, you give those people that never had the right to be in your life validation of what they did to you. It's time to claim your life. It's time for you to do the work. It's time for you to love yourself. It's time for you to tell yourself how much you love yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive those people. You don't forgive those people for them. You do it for you. Because guess what? God did say vengeance is mine. And it does come back. Don't worry about it. You'll see it. You will see it. Every question, every action that you ponder will be made visible in the intended time. You'll see. I say this lightly because there's a lot of people who really believe that the devil's not real. People think, oh, he's this guy with this tail and he's got horns, and you better stop fooling yourself. Because for every disappointment that you've gone through, every loss that you felt, his signature was there. His presence was through each and every one of those persons that willfully exploited you. I got this feeling right now, there's this person right now. You got so much shame inside your spirit that it has a life of its own. And you got somebody that genuinely cares about you that knows the truth, and you're terrified. Sooner or later, you're going to have that conversation to free yourself. That's when you begin to live and be made new. So look here, y'all. I know some of y'all may be wondering, there may be some people out there that they just taking L's left and right. At the end of the day, that's a choice. But if anything, if you're working a full-time job, you got medical benefits. Go talk to somebody. Do it for validation for yourself. But make sure that this person does not have an agenda at you. Blind faith, blind truth. It is what it is. But if you don't step out in it, you'll never see how blessed your life really is. I got a feeling somebody, the veil has been lifted and you realize that you have been misled for a long time, and you are really shook and you're like, how did I get here? This is not my life. And you're terrified, and it seems like you feel that you've done so much wrong in your life that there ain't no coming back. It's time for you to have that conversation with God and watch what doors he opens. Have the courage to walk through them. But just know this, there's going to be a trade-off. You're going to be tested. Because, see, the devil right now, he thinks he's winning over your life. And he's going to try to throw things at you. He may bring people back. He may put you in positions to keep knocking you down to see if you will give up on you. What's at stake is your spirit. What's at stake is your peace of mind. What's at stake is you to have the courage to finally love yourself. And when you decide to love yourself, you'll know the power of those 3 words, but you'll also know what it looks like and what it feels like when it's given unconditionally. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Y'all don't realize it. Some of y'all gonna see stuff play out around your life. Now you gotta remember, our lives in the Bible is a temple. So you're going to see a lot of false barricades fall down. You're going to start to see a lot of truth come out, and you're going to start to see people exactly for what they are. Go with grace, go with humility, but you continue to go. If they're divinely meant to be in your life, guess what? Shouldn't they be doing the work too? That's right. Stay blessed, y'all. Love to hear from you. Like, don't like, but the fact that you took the time to hear will conveyed out of my spirit from him. That's my blessing. And you're worth it. Why? Because you're priceless. Be blessed, y'all. Bye.